There. Okay, nobody's leaving, right? Thank you all. Okay, thank you all to this live where we're going to find out more about adult child syndrome, adult child patterning, because it is so important that we know and understand about it. So once again, if the internet goes off, I will come back. I don't quite know how, but I will come back. I have a few measures here that I can put in place. It's called a dongle, and it's usually not too wonderful, but you know, we'll try. Okay, so there is a form, and I'm going to share the form with you so that you, if you haven't downloaded it, it's fine, because I am going to share it with you. And we're just going to talk through this, and we are going to just look at this syndrome. Let me just find the right page to share. This is fairly important that I share the right page. Okay, so this one, let me check. It may be. No, I did. It's not. It's not this one. Right, so where is Google? So I think I'm still in the wrong one. Okay, so I'm in the wrong one. Everybody's seeing my life now. I want you to see my life. Okay, it's a bit messy. Okay. Right. Okay, so we are talking about adult child survival patterns. So anything, whenever we talk about adult child syndrome, it is all about survival patterns that we have formed way too young. And we formed it as a way of surviving. So they are good because they managed to get us to where we are today. If we didn't have that survival patterns, then we probably would not have managed to get here, or we would have been seriously addicted, or completely in the rebel mode and messing up our lives. And some of us are doing that anyways, and that's fine. But then there comes a day when we are desperate and we get really fed up and we want our life to go better and we can't understand what the heck's going on. And that's the day we said, we've had enough and I really want an answer and a solution now. And that is when we are ready to go and tackle these things, because all of these patterns, they are mindsets, they are outlooks, they are protective measures, and they are limiting beliefs. Now, we don't want any of these. We want thriving skills. So we have to become aware, because most of the time we are really not aware. We think that we are living the life that we are supposed to live. And when we go through the personality types, you'll see why we think this is what we are supposed to do. So I'm going to ask you a question before anything else. I'm going to ask you a question, and this is the first question, which is the most important one to start with, which is, did you have to grow up way too young? So you don't really need this form because we are going to go through it, but you do want that form because the personality types are in there, and what to do about it. So let me see a show of hands here. Is there anybody here who had to grow up way too young? I'm expecting everybody. Okay, so you can give me a high five here, or you can type in the chat box. But I do expect to see everybody going like, yes, me too. If we're talking about growing up way too soon, it can actually be something really small. It can be, my mother went through operation and they didn't tell me, and then she came back, and then everybody was hush hush, and then everything came right, and we are a very happy family, and I had a happy childhood. It can be like that. It can be, I was middle child and I needed to be invisible because the older one was a genius and the youngest one was a juvenile delinquent. So I just was a quiet one in the middle with no needs. Hello, here's Muffin. All of you who watch this regularly knows it's always Muffin and me. So here's Muffin. Let me just get Muffin settled, because the sooner I do this, the better. So, and it can be going to hostel way too soon. If we go to hostel at 5 or 6, hello, little one, on your own, you just have to cope. It can be a divorce, it can be a death, it can be addiction in the family, it can be mental illness in the family. So sometimes it's very obvious, and sometimes it's not that obvious. And a lot of the time, we normalize it and we say, you know, other people had it worse, and what's my right to complain? And then we just carry on looking okay. But we always do know that, you know, we feel a little bit different from other people, and that maybe we don't fit in so well, or we have to really work hard at fitting well. Muffin. Sorry, I need to throw Muffin off tonight. No, go. Sorry, I'm friendly tonight. So I'm unfriendly, not her. She's always friendly. So when we had to grow up too early, question number 2 is the one that comes from it, which is, did you take responsibility for any adult feelings? And we are talking specifically mother and father, but sometimes it's a parent, it's a grandparent. And again, very, very, very important one. So I want you to type for me in the chat box if you have taken the responsibility for somebody's feelings and who it was. Before you do this, let me quickly tell you, it could be in a way that you didn't actually notice it. I was quiet, not to make a noise, you know, I had to be quiet. I knew it would upset my mother or my father if I did this. I knew my parents, my mother's or my father's needs were more important than me. So I was there to help them. I was the little helper, or I was the comedian of the family, or I had a different role. It wasn't about my needs. So any of those means that we have forsaken our own needs and we have taken responsibility for somebody else's needs. So let's see, how's that going? Anybody? Yep, that's the story. That's the story. Yep. Anybody else? Can also show, do that thumbs up thingy here. You can wave to me on the line, you know, in your image. It's good. Okay. All right. So let's go back to share screening, because I think one of the most important things that we can do is to actually become aware of family patterns. So let's look at family patterns here. Right. So, oh wait, sorry, let's talk about the rules first. So if you've noticed that this one-day immersion, which is one day in the evening, it's actually a weekend immersion, isn't it? It is don't talk, don't trust, don't feel. And our name is Talk, Trust, Feel, because we are trying to teach people that we can talk and we can trust and we can feel, because once we learn these things, we are changing our entire destiny. So as long as we are caught in the don't talk, which is about the denial and secrecy, that there's a problem. And even when you've grown up in a seemingly stable family, but the rules was don't talk about that one big thing that didn't happen. You know, we pretend it was imaginary. In my book, I'm writing about hamster wheel relationships. I write about the family where we had a happy family, except for this one time when my dad tried to kill us. And it's a true story. You know, everybody just carried on the next morning as if it never happened. And the story was, I'm happy. You know, I had a happy childhood. I don't know why I would want to be in this meeting. I don't know why I would want to be here. Oh, except for that time my father tried to kill us. And we do this all the time. Now, luckily, don't all of us have got these extreme examples, but we do this absolutely all the time. Because of unpredictability and inconsistent behavior, we stop trusting. Because our feelings are denied, our wants and needs are denied, because there's no place for them, we stop trusting and we give up on feeling. And if we are really, really unhappy for a long time. We're going to give up on feeling because it's just too hard. Eventually, if you try for a very long time, you're going to realize that if I don't squish these feelings in some sort of way, which means putting our attention somewhere else, that these feelings, even so small, we know we can't keep on feeling these feelings. So we displace it to a place where it's easier to deal with. And very often our mind is going to help us with that. Our mind is going to be, okay, wait, so I need to admit somebody. Right, there we go. So our mind is going to hide it from us. It's going to be the one who says to me, hi, Margaret, nice to see you. It's going to be the one that says to me, oh, I can remember so few things about my childhood. I have barely any memories before 7 or 8. And then we know it's your mind that protected you against something. It's not that you didn't live or exist. That 7 years did happen. It's just your mind decided this is too hard for you. I'm going to hide it. And then it's fairly hard for us to then gain access to it and to figure out exactly what the hurts and the feelings are. But because adult child syndrome, adult child pattern follows fairly the same thing for all of us, there is a way for us to actually get to the real feelings and to put the right practices in place. So even if we don't remember something, we can still become whole and love ourselves, celebrate ourselves, and rebuild our lives and get healthy outlooks. Okay. So, oh, Shadi. It's a Shadi, am I right? That's a hard one. I had to take care of, and I still am. It's the I still am part, which is so hard because here's exactly an example. We go into these roles and we accept it as this is who we are. There's a part of us that even likes it, having these responsibilities. Okay, I'm going to stop for a minute. I'm going to check, is there anybody here that has any questions? Anybody? Okay, keep on coming back. If anybody has a question, put right at the bottom is that yellow hand. Just put it up so I can know, and then I'll wait for you. And if there's no questions, I'm going to go to the personalities. Okay, good. Everybody happy? I can do that. Everybody's still awake. It's only 20 minutes. Don't fall asleep. It's too soon. Okay. There we go. And share. There we go. Okay, so now we're going to the personality types. Okay, so everybody thought you've heard everything that I could say. You haven't heard this. Okay, so let's go through the 4 personality types. I'm going to just go to mention it quickly. We can come back to this. The responsible child or the hero is usually the oldest, and that is a person who takes such a lot of responsibility. Okay, I can see hands going up here without me even asking. I know there are quite a few of us here who are the responsible child and the hero, and who's the one who's saving absolutely everyone. So it's a role. It becomes a lifestyle. It becomes a belief that this is who I am. I'm this helper. I have to fix everything and nobody's going to be there for me. And I'm not getting the support, but it's my job. Just look in my direction. I already know it's my job. You're the one I can depend upon. Like I say, we actually have quite a few, we've got quite a few reasons for self-esteem in it, for feeling good about ourselves, because we are the helpers and we are the organized ones, and we are the ones who are going to go and perform really well because we are the hero, we are the responsible one. But here's our problem. This is exactly the difficulties, and here's the difficulties. Listening, following, negotiating, asking for help, getting input or advice, playing. Like playing means I have to be serious. Like, what's this playing story? And I play. Why? You know, I've got a job to do. I've got to save everyone. And perfectionist. Now, perfectionist can be good, but you also know it can be a pain in the ass and it can alienate people from you. Right. So let me stop the share. Let me see. Okay. Who is that? Yeah, I can see there. But then I saw that one coming up, didn't it? Okay. Who else were? Okay, watch me. Here's my hand. Okay. Hero, child, rescuer. All the way. Hero, child, anonymous. That's me. Anybody else? Yep. Come, Stephen, put up that hand. Right. It helps if I know you. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to share the screen again. Everybody else is off the hook for now. There we go. Next one, adjuster. Okay. Now, you adjust. You literally adjust. You fit in. You watch what other people need from you. And you know what? These are the people we all love. We love adjusters. It is amazing to have adjusters in your life because they are just not difficult. These are our favorite people because they're going to try and fit in with us. But the adjuster is always a follower, and the adjuster is sooner or later going to find out that they don't know who they are, that they are living their life according to somebody else. And sooner or later, the adjuster is going to start having resentment. Because in some sort of way, we all need, we know, deep inside, we all know we are supposed to be self-directed, even if we don't know, because we didn't get the skills, because our parents didn't give us the skills, or because we slotted into this role, which again made us feel good about ourselves. You know, it could just be a mother saying, oh, this is such an easy child, you know. I never have any problems with this child, and this child's never going to have a problem in their life ever again because of that label. But sometimes it is because you feel that you are deeply, deeply not fitting into the world. And your only way of fitting into the world is to scan the room, scan the people around you, and be what they need you to be. And to adapt your personality to whoever you are with, or adapt your wants and needs, well, or your lack of wants and needs, to whoever you are with. So you stop living for yourself. You don't know how to live for yourself. And you live for the whole world around you. And one day you wake up and you realize you don't know who you are. And you feel completely adrift. And you feel completely confused about who you really are. So it will get you to adulthood. Thank you, lucky start that you are the liked one, that you have managed to get there. But you know deep inside how unsure you feel. And that's not nice. You don't have to feel like that. And our difficulties here is the ones that shows us. It's the inability to lead, the inability to initiate, the fearful of making decisions, the inability to see options. We just know what everybody else wants, and then to react without thinking. And that is not an easy way to live. I think you can all agree. It may get you to grown up, but once you get to grown up and you don't know who you are, that's hard. Okay, who's identifying with that one? Anyone? Okay, and yes, I do want to tell you that you can identify with more than one. And this is not actually who you are. I very often have people who are really type A personalities who cannot be that because they're too much in one of these typologies, and they are not really acting according to their true nature. And you know, I've been one of those. I knew I was a type A personality, but I've never been able to lead, even although I was a hero. So These just shows us our survival patterns. It doesn't tell us who we are for the rest of our lives. Because once we do this process of becoming aware of who we are really supposed to be, and we find that out fairly soon into the process of working with adult child syndrome, then we can become who we were always supposed to be. And this is like the hallelujah moment. This is like, there is more. I promise you there is more. Yeah, okay. You can see that. Okay, thanks, Yvette. Thanks, Linda. Okay. Right, all right, let's go back. Remember, you can have overlapping qualities here. All right. Let's go to the next one. Also, do want you to know that each of these have got amazing advantages. These are not just negatives. All of these have got real great advantages. Otherwise, we wouldn't have managed to get ourselves to grown up. Okay, the acting out child or the scapegoat often have it the hardest in the house, you know, the black sheep. The one, it's like this say here, this is straight from the adult child, basic adult child document that I found originally when I've tried for so long to get help. And suddenly when I started reading this, so this is from the adult child's website, just to give you a disclaimer, I didn't write this. This is what all adult child work is based on, except that there's lots more new research, and you know, I'm really working with 7 typologies, not just with 4 when I work with people. So when we have a scapegoat in the house, we're acting out child, this is the one that will, with behavior, scream out something is wrong here. It is an extreme, it's an acting out of extreme powerlessness and completely feeling invisible. And it very often looks like delinquent behavior. This child has it hard. It's the one that are more likely to going to develop alcoholism or addictions, or the ultimate rebel, antisocial behavior. And the only advantage, if you can say it like that, is that this child are less in denial about the pain in the family, the what is really wrong in the family. Everybody else are in complete denial, and that we have to understand, and we have to be really nice to ourselves to know that none of this is done on purpose, that we don't try not to know these things. We really are completely oblivious of these roles that we slot into. We were just children. We've got to remember this. This started by, you know, by the age of 7. A lot of these are completely cemented in us. Okay, so the difficulties of a scapegoat is huge anger outbursts, lack of social skills, intrusive of others, which basically means that don't know your limits, don't understand really rules of society, challenging to authority, unwilling, rebel, unwilling to follow directions, rebel, find it difficult to enter mainstream of life. So check just now. Okay, stop share. Any rebels here? Any full-time professional rebels here? But we all know a rebel. We all know people. Hi, Mitch. Remember what I say always. Anytime I see a rebel, I see somebody who's been hurt. And these are the people that everybody look. And then again, all of these traits carry a little bit of rebel in them anyways. Because sooner or later we get fed up with it, and there's very few things left for us if we actually want to find ourselves somewhere, being teenager, then for us to actually find that rebel in us, and that rebel in us helps us to survive. So we have to be thankful for that rebel, even although the rebel is the one that ultimately is going to get us in deep trouble. Okay, and so we're going to look at this one as the last one here. And this is, okay. So the replicator, the household social worker. And so this is the one. So this could also be the triangulator, which is the one that gets in the middle of everything and is the great peacemaker, and also the great let's pretend this didn't happen. But the positive side, always warm and caring and empathetic, and very invisible. Very invisible. Part of their role of being a placator is to be invisible. Let me not make anything worse. And as it says here, ignoring my own needs. And in the end, where this worked in the beginning, in the end, this will actually end up in, because of an inability to care for ourselves, this will end up in great sadness, great ability to endure and endure and endure until we feel that there's nothing left of ourselves, because we are, if we are placators, we are not good receivers. We are really good invisible fairies, invisible one that are not making things worse, but we receive very little because we ask for so little. And also very, very wary of calling attention to ourselves. And therefore, we don't like making mistakes. Okay, so our difficulties here is difficulty receiving attention, receiving help, inability to focus on itself. It becomes such an extreme coping mechanism, not a skill, to focus on others, that there's literally nowhere space in our lives for us to focus on ourselves. And if we do focus on ourselves, we feel so guilty. And that again could have been reinforced by a parent just saying something which a parent would think about as praise, as, my kid is just always helping other people, just, then such a selfless person, an amazing kid, and it reinforces that this is what I'm supposed to be doing in life, even although it is really not meant that way. Okay, and then again, because of this being this household social worker, inappropriate behavior is not even noticed, never mind being tolerant. It's not even noticed. It's just like, it's my job to fix it. And low self-esteem, and that really will, all of these have low self-esteem. There's not a single one here that says I can be one of these and I feel great about myself and I have high self-esteem. It doesn't exist. Every single thing has, we may have external self-esteem. So let me just go back, let me stop sharing. Let's talk about this a bit. So we may have external self-esteem, especially if you're the hero child or the helper of other people, the chairperson of a broken wing society. You may get a lot of self-esteem from being the hero, from always fixing stuff, from being organized, or from helping other people, or from your qualifications, because you can also be very highly driven. You could be very successful because you have such a need to prove yourself and have the one thing after the other that tells you that you are a worthwhile person. So your outside life can look amazing, but your inside life is the problem. It's the stuff we hide from others because a lack of self-esteem is really a problem across the board, except that we sometimes confuse self-esteem about our achievements as self-esteem. And just a little, it's an external self-esteem. It's the one that when the achievement is taken away, there's nothing. If my child is my achievement and the child moves away, then I don't know who I am. If being married to this person is my achievement and this person is not in my life anymore, I fall apart. If it is my job and I suddenly don't have my job anymore, then I fall apart. It's my money. If I don't have my money anymore, who am I? So all of these things are external self-esteem. And this is not who we are really inside. And what we need to do is build our appreciation for who we really are inside and drop these personality types. And we will never drop all of them. You know, this hero nonsense, you know, hello, here I still am. So it doesn't really go away. But now, as before, when I was compulsive helping of other people and helping people out of a mess, even if they didn't ask, I'm happy to share what I know, not because I have to, but because I can, which is it's a big distinction. Before I had to. I didn't know why, I just knew I had to. Now I know I can, but I don't have to. It's because I want to. Small distinction, but it's very valid. Okay. Thanks for that comment. That's a great comment. Thank you. All right, so guys, let's check. Adult-child pattern. Are any of you figuring out that, oh yeah, hello, that's me? Let me see some hands. Now, remember that 70 to 80% of the world have got adult-child pattern. So if there's 10 people here, that means that at least 7 or 8 have it. And it's like everyone, like really like everyone. And there are very few people who grow up without having had something happen in their life. And sometimes it doesn't even have to be something big. Sometimes it can be a fairly small example that makes us believe a certain thing about ourselves. So it's not always big and traumatic. It's sometimes small and consistent, and I normalized it. Now, here's the amazing thing. The sooner you figure out what was always there below the surface, the faster you can take control of it. And that is why we actually want to know this. Now, this work was mainstream 40 years ago, and the American Psychology Association removed it from the syllabus. Nobody was allowed to do inner child work anymore because there was some sort of scandal. Because you do have to have unconditional regard for your client and show it. You have to actually, as a therapist, be involved and help and mirror in a real and genuine way for these hurts to be changed. So that's a crime against so many people. And I am on a mission to fix it. This is why it's really important that we understand that it's not like this work doesn't exist. It's just that it has been removed from our consciousness for 40 years. And if we go back to Karen Casey, who sold 4 million books of her first book 40 years ago, and now we don't know what her work is. And Laurie Wise, and who's a guest on this, and please guys, make sure that you watch her recording, because Laurie is amazing. She's a font of wisdom. She is the nicest, kindest person. And she's an expert. She just hasn't been doing that work since it's been removed. So I want you guys to embrace this. If you have figured out today that this is me, I want you to embrace it And there are some of you that's been working with me already. And if you guys can just make a few comments here for the guys, for the others who haven't done it, and just give me a little comment there. I mean, you can also, if you want to, you can unmute and you can actually tell people how your lives have changed since you started becoming aware of these things inside you that was hidden. I mean, I haven't asked anybody before the time to speak, but if there's anybody who wants to do that, then you can feel free. Or if you have any questions about this, let's see. But if you're too shy to speak, then just put it in the comments. How's that? Anybody happy to do that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It changed my life completely. This work completely changed my life. It's a lifetime journey, I think. So I wouldn't say I'm completely different though to what I was 4.5 years ago. And it started with the coaching with you, Louise. So, and I think that if people do this work, the world will stop being so trapped in all this bullshit, excuse my language, actually. So it's so important.
It is. We become aware. We become aware of our patterns. We become aware of our conditioned responses. We become aware of our triggers. We become self-empowered because we are aware that we've given away our power at a very young age. So I'm going to come back to it in a minute, and we're going to talk about the powerful thing. I'm going to give you the biggest secret which everybody has to know, and I'm going to come back to it in a minute because we all want to be self-empowered, right? Now, Antoinette, you know, we talk a lot, but because we do Facebook Lives all the time. If anybody hasn't seen it, go and check on my Facebook profile or YouTube profile. There's a lot of conversations between me and Antoinette shows up and she says, okay, Louise, I'm ready, do some life coaching. We're like, oh, okay, there's some more every time. So it's really, yeah, well done, Antoinette, you're very brave. And you're helping a lot of people through it. Because when you do this on air, when other people can see that it's fine. We don't melt, our hands doesn't fall off, nobody's hands are going to fall off, right? And we become the person we were always supposed to be, right?
And I just need to add one more thing, what you brought to me as well. People don't know what they don't know. They don't know what they don't know. And until you know it, and when you know it, in the first session with you, I was going, oh my word, it's so obvious. Like I can see people here going, yeah. It's like so obvious when you hear it and the light is shone on it. But until you know it, it's like you're just in this constant cycle of doing what you do and who you are. And if you're successful, like I was successful, you don't think about it. So I got very sick, as you know, and that's the only reason I started searching, and thank goodness I found you, and it's completely life-changing.
Yeah, it's usually we get sick very, very often. You know, I'm a relationship coach because it shows in our relationships. It really does. My book's name is Hamster Wheel Relationships, because that is what we know. We know this bloody hamster wheel so well. And we are in it, and we'll be in it every single time. And we know it so well, so we just keep on doing this thing. But that is why I'm a relationship coach, because the problem is not the relationship. The problem is that 2 adult children got married, got into a relationship with no freaking tools because their parents didn't have tools to give to them. That's all. So if we come from the point of we don't have tools because the dear people that was well-meaning and really wanted to do their best for us, they were just humans with their own generational trauma, then if we come from there, then we understand that how on earth were we supposed to know and get these tools? So once we get the tools, we do what Maya Angelou says. I do better when I know better. It's just the most amazing thing. Forgive myself for all the shit that I've caused in my life, you know, what I've brought over myself. And then go like, Yes, now I'm aware, I'm present, I live my life. Just amazing. Okay, so let me just make sure here. I saw a nice, I saw a really good comment here. Oh, no, I've lost it now. Somebody is a event. I keep on losing it. Linda, can you read it for us, please? The last comment from Yvette.
I'm just looking for it. I'll read it to you now.
Thank you. Thanks for that, Antoinette.
There was a comment, I think, from the gentleman saying it gave him tools. Yeah. You need tools to be able to heal from this.
Yeah, it might, it's actually Yvette, I think, by sharing a phone or a Zoom. Helene, if you want to unmute, I see your hands up.
No, oh, sorry, no, no, I'm sorry. It wasn't supposed to be like that.
Okay,
Was that just your way of making me talk?
No, your hand's really up. Look on your hand's really up. That's what it means. That thing.
I'm sorry.
That thing means, give me a chance. I want to speak. I don't want anybody here to be invisible. I'm giving you a chance to speak, but it's fine. Go back, go hide in the corner. It doesn't matter. Okay.
Thanks.
All right. Okay. Anybody else has anything to share? Anybody want to add anything? Okay. All right. All right. Let me lower it. You see, now I've lowered your hand. Okay. That's good. All right, guys. So let me see. I'm not sharing, am I? No. Right. So let's talk about how do we get out of this nonsense. So I'm not going to give you the whole long story, you know. You can come to a session, you can do group work, you can pitch up for videos, there are lots of them. But there's a fast track to get there. And I am very happy to share it with you. So it is the 3 big realizations. The first one is, I'm an adult. Oh, bloody hell, I'm an adult. Like, okay, yes, I'm an adult. You know, we go through those stages of, when I ask somebody, are you an adult? We're like, I'm 39 years old. Let me quickly figure out. I'm checking myself. Am I an adult? And then, you know, the realization starts dawning slowly. Oh, flipping hell, I am an adult. And then once we get it, we go like, yippee, I'm an adult, because finding out that you're an adult is step number 1. And it's important that you actually make that switch in your head, because if you're an adult child, you want to stop being an adult child, you want to learn how to be an adult. Because an adult child basically means that I'm taking every single thing that my 7-year-old is telling me is the truth, and I'm living my life as a 7-year-old. Now, how is that not sucking? Now, seriously, who's giving the keys of a car to the 7-year-old and say, okay, my sweetheart, you drive today. I'm sitting back here. Okay, like nobody, but who's driving your car? Hello, it's a 7-year-old. Until you start doing this work and you go like, oh, wow, no, don't like this anymore. We are now going to love the 7-year-old, forgive the 7-year-old, celebrate the 7-year-old, but I am actually a grown-ass person. And I am taking those keys back. The first step is becoming aware that this is really what I have been unknowingly trapped in. And then we say, yippee. Okay, so I've removed that name syndrome there so that people don't feel like they are sick. So I'm calling it pattern. I'm just being politically correct. It's still the same thing. And now that we take back the keys to this car of our life, here's the 2 next things, which are just like mind-blowing. And this is like, that's what like Antoinette just said, is like, this is so obvious. Adults have privileges children don't have. And so when yes, I have a voice and I have a choice, and that's where it starts. I have a voice and I have a choice. Okay, fine. It sucks that I may not know how to use it. I may not know how to say no, and therefore I'm the world's biggest people pleaser. And people love me to be a people pleaser, but I get bugger all. So, but really, you have a voice. Maybe I don't know how to communicate. Maybe my self-esteem is so low that I don't want to communicate really or put myself out there and try things. That can be fixed. Once you figure out you are an adult. Yes. Okay, let me see. Who else is going, yippee, I'm an adult. I have a voice. And the second one is, I have a choice. And this is where we get ourselves out of our disempowered victimhood. And that's when we start understanding that I have a choice. I've had it all along, since I became a grown-up and I started driving my car and having a job and getting into relationships and deciding where I want to vacation and what I want to do in my free time. I had all those choices and I did those. I got into a relationship. Oh, it's not working. Still, it was your choice. I'm staying in a relationship. It's not working. Oh, it's still your choice. And no, it's for the financial reasons. Yes, but it's still your choice because you're staying for the financial reasons. And why you're not doing something about it, There's always a choice. And where is the gun that's keeping you there? Because look around. Where's the gun? There's no gun. You're an adult. You have a voice. You have a choice. Yippee. Isn't that amazing? That's so simple. How do we not know this? Because we don't. Doesn't this blow your mind? Come tell me whose mind is blown. I want to know. Why can't I find the next messages? Okay. Yeah, people pleaser. Let's go. All right, so now let's see. Okay, now remember, if you put your hand up, I'm going to ask you if you want to ask something. Okay, so now nobody's putting their hands up. You're all scared I'm going to ask you something. Okay, that's fine. Well, is there any questions about adult child syndrome? Anything in your life that you're not sure, is this me? Where do I start? Well, except for to know that you've got a voice and a choice. Is there anybody who has any questions? Okay, you can put your hands up now. No one?
I don't know how many people on here haven't been on this journey. Where to start? I think people don't know where to start. If I hadn't come to you and I didn't have that many sessions, but I knew then where I was, why I was there. I got some tools and I had some direction. I don't think people know where to start, even when they know.
People don't. People don't. I went to 5 psychologists. I couldn't get help. I tried and I tried until I ended up being helpless and hopeless because I thought, what else am I to do? And on the outside, looking very successful with what I do. I have a friend who said to me, everything you touch turn to gold. That doesn't mean that inside, you don't look at yourself and you think, I better not let everybody else see what's really inside because they're going to see how terrible it is and they're not going to like me. So let me put up these big walls and just keep on trying to be as successful, as looking as okay, fitting in with the world, helping everybody, let me just keep on doing this and being very attached to our one and only friend or being addicted to our spouse. So all of these things are our coping mechanisms or, running obsessively or drinking too much or really zoning out in front of the TV every single moment that you get. There's a lot of stuff that we do just to get through the day, just to manage our pain. But once we become aware, we have to then start looking for where do we get real adult child help. So there are adult child groups. America's got a lot of them. America's the most progressive for adult child groups. You can get adult child groups everywhere. They follow a very strict regimen. It is this, what I've shared with you now, that's the basis of what the groups work with. And there's 16 traits. So the 16 traits and this and the very few books that are allowed in the adult child group work. It follows the same sort of setup as AA or Al-Anon meetings, where there's no cross-talking allowed, and you know, a very good set of rules. There's nothing wrong with the rules. I stopped doing adult child group work under the banner of Al-Anon. I kept on doing it because it was too conforming for me, because I found the work of people like Karen Case, and that wasn't allowed as a book to read from. And John Bradshaw, and you know, Boundaries. So they are very good books, but we just got to find the right ones, because we can find fluffy ones. And I don't, you may love Louise Hay, and I love Louise Hay, but it's fairly fluffy compared to this work. So you've got to be careful about where you put your attention. You've got to get work that's really on point, with codependence, which we all struggle with self-esteem, which we all struggle with boundaries, which we all struggle with triggers, with a lack of self-empowerment, being other-directed. So it's hard to find good help, and it's hard to understand this, but there is help. So the groups are free, and you are going to get better. So start somewhere. Don't just sit and don't do anything. Look for the right books. Look for, my book's a handbook. My book is an entire handbook. If you go through it, all the healing questions are in there. There's a 70 page workbook. Now the questions are important, because you can read anything and not take anything in. But once you start working with questions, when you work through all 70 pages of those questions, something inside you change. So it is important that you engage with whatever there is. It is important, if you go to a group, that you actually talk, that you show up, that you share. If it's online, that you actually show up and share how you really feel. All of those things, it's not in reading, or it is in participating and forming a new life. So just start somewhere. I've got a program coming out. It's at the bottom there. It's a very, very, very long sales page there, if you want to call it there. What it really is I'm trying to make people aware that they need this, because most people don't know if they need this and how miraculous it is. So that's why I've not stopped with the words. It's just words and words and words and words. And so it's a novel of telling you why you need adult child syndrome. Hopefully very entertaining reading, but I've put the link at the bottom of that document, so you can go and have a look and see if that fits you or not. I've got several smaller programs, which is the self-esteem, self-worth, coming up now, soon, next month. The self-worth, because we always start with self-worth. Everybody needs self-worth. If you don't have self-worth, if you do nothing else, you do the self-worth. Because if you don't have self-worth, you are going to say to yourself, I am not worthy of spending this money on myself. I am not worthy of giving myself this time. I'm not worthy of wants and needs. Other people are more important than me. So if you don't have self-worth, you're going to still put the whole world in front of you, find all the excuses in the world, and not do the work. You've got to start with self-worth. So answer the question. I answered it myself. Start with self-worth. And then look for help and accept help. Yeah. Oh, yes. Who's this? Limiting beliefs. Yeah, but the limiting beliefs come after this. And for this program, I'm including the limiting beliefs in it. And even the limiting beliefs that we've done in the last limiting beliefs challenge, that's an 11-day limiting beliefs one. And now I'm taking the limiting beliefs with the extra ones. You know, I haven't been able to cover all the limiting beliefs in 11 days. So I'm taking all of that into the program, so that every single limiting belief that you don't even know you have, you just think this is just me. By the way, if you say this is just me, right there, limiting belief. This is just me. This is just how I am. limiting belief. If you say, this is just, I've just always done this, limiting belief, always 7-year-old, hello. So we're a walking minefield of limiting beliefs. And when we become aware of it and we change one at a time, yes, limiting belief, but it's part of the program. So, and then with this one, because it's the first one that I'm doing online, after doing it in person for 14 years, for this one, I'm including the self-esteem, because I always also another 3 months at the end, because I've always included it. When you fix your self-esteem, you fix everything. So, but the main thing is when you become aware, start doing something about it, because this changes your life in the most amazing way, and you become really who you're always supposed to be. And I want to add one thing here. You know, people say to me, Louise, is this easy for you? You know, bullshit. It's not be easy for me. I was roadkill. I was literally roadkill before my head softened enough to take direction from anybody else. I knew what I knew. I believed what I believed. I was always right. Yeah, really. I firmly believed it. And very, very careful of who I let into my life. Huge, big walls, and very uncomfortable socially, although I looked fine. And I was terrified, but I never looked terrified. I always looked okay. And I literally kept people from me by looking so okay. I didn't let them in. So the looking okay thing is not okay. But we do that and we fit in. So no, it wasn't easy for me. It was extremely hard. I was really roadkill. And it was just the serenity prayer that kept me going from day to day to day. If I didn't have a serenity prayer, I don't know how I would have gotten through the days. And luckily this program and people who cared about me and people who were brave enough to tell me the truth about hard things like victimhood and all these other attitudes which we don't want to know about. So yeah, I want it for everyone. Right. Let me see. Any more comments here? Linda, did I miss any comments? I can only see the last one.
No.
Oh, wait, Annie. Annie, why are you only pitching up now? I sent out 6 emails. You're only pitching up now. Right. Well, we can at least, and wait, there's another one. There we go. And anybody else? Hi, Anne. Can you hear me? Hi, Sherman. You guys are arriving here at the end.
Right. This was not on my schedule for some reason.
It's the end of my live presentation about adult child syndrome, Sherman.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be on your schedule unless you put it up.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
But nice for you to be here. I know you're interested in this, so I would have loved for you to hear the whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're now at the last bit of checking if there's any questions. If there are any questions here, I am, if you want to do something in confidence, I'm going to switch off the camera in a minute. So if there's any public questions, go for it. If there's questions that would help other people, please go for it. No one? You're all good? Okay, so I'm going to thank everybody who have showed up, and I'm going to stop the recording now. I'm going to give anybody time to, unmute themselves and ask questions. Okay. Thank you all. Let me stop this. Where is this thing to stop it? Stop recording.